For some reason, people are willing to pay good money to be scared by a horror movie or a heart-pounding ride. But in the case of this next legend, the thrill seekers get more than their money's worth.
This tale of terror begins with 3 teenagers who love being scared to death. They've trekked over 100 miles to take on a challenge.
$50.
That's not so bad.
Each.
They each pay a hefty $50 to enter the famous House of Horror, which bills itself as the world's scariest.
He's probably just as scary as the guys in there.
To back that up, anyone who could complete the tour gets their money back. But so far, no one ever has. Stepping into the dark, they are soon immersed in a fantastic realm of ghouls, ghosts, and graveyards. A macabre wonderland populated by faces of death. They're on the lookout for the fabled woman on the stairs. According to the challenge, if you survive the final terror after you've seen her, you've conquered the haunted house. While the horrors are impressive, they don't stop one of the guys from moving ahead of the others, determined to be the first one to beat the house.
$50? It's mine.
Hey, Aaron, wait for us.
But just as he shrugs off one of the animatronic attackers, a little surprise sends him tearing out of the place in panic. And now there were 2. Suddenly, a bit less confident, the others proceed. They marvel at how ambitious this place is and can understand why the admission price is so steep. Still, they know it's all make-believe. None of it is all that terrifying. Or is it?
That's it. I'm getting out of here.
Now on his own, our most hardcore fright fan has his nerves on edge. He tries to anticipate each gimmick, and as he wanders further into the depths of the death house, his courage holds firm. Eventually, he gets a bit cocky, certain he's going to make it all the way. Then, as he turns the last corner, he's suddenly attacked by the infamous woman on the stairs. For a second, he's thrown by the shock. He recovers, then realizes he has only one final terror to face. But as the final door opens, the house has the last word. The horror junkie races off in terror, weaving back through all the nightmares he's bravely endured. Try as he might, he's failed the house challenge. A creepy little saga of theme park theatrics.
See? I told you he wouldn't make it.
But is there really a haunted house so scary that no one has completed the tour? Or is all this just smoke and mirrors?
Next.
The strange thing about this legend is that since the mid-1980s, it seems to have happened everywhere, in at least a dozen states around the U.S. It's a thrill that gets a boost every October 31st, when scaring people becomes big business. But can a theme park attraction be so scary that no one can complete it, lest they chicken out or die of fright? Well, there certainly are some theme park rides that put mortal fear into those who dare to take them on. And roller coasters are probably the leading contenders. The strategy behind these rides is similar to those of the horror houses. to confront the rider with a realistic sense of brushing with death. Like the experience of falling from a terrifying height. It's an illusion, of course, but a convincing one. Convincing enough to keep a lot of people permanently off of these rides. But the legend specifies a house of horrors. Is there a place armed only with sound effects and animatronic monsters that could scare the willies out of a modern audience? And if not, why do so many kids believe in it?
People enjoy being scared often when the consequences of being scared are removed, for example, at a horror movie, or when this particular urban legend is repeated. A person can feel scared, a thrill, a kind of excited state, without actually being threatened.
But if people know they aren't really in danger, doesn't that remove the fright factor and thus make the legend false? Well, no. Because there is, in fact, a haunted house attraction so scary that some patrons can't make it all the way through. It's what you've been watching. Knott's Berry Farm's annual Halloween spectacular, Knott's Scary Farm. Get it?
Yes, we've had people that were too scared to continue here at Knott's Berry Farm. Oftentimes, groups of people will just have to turn around and leave. We try to scare the toughest person. So, the demographic of a teenage boy who's real tough and isn't afraid of anything. That's the person that's one of our targets. Perhaps our easiest scare is junior high school girls that run through the park screaming in great long lines.
But the business of scaring people requires craft, technology, and a lot of money. And it relies on a number of tried and true techniques that get people jumping out of their skins. So says the designer of another house of horror, Molar Manor, in Valencia, California.
My job is to distract you. So you'll walk into one of our exhibits and you'll be sucked into the room and think, wow, look at that's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, wham, something jumps out and scares you.
In fact, we went the extra mile to use this place in our own reenactment. It's called Molar Manor because its $300,000 worth of spooky spectacles are the personal collection of a dentist, for whom terrifying people is, no surprise, a personal passion.
I'm a collector of wonderful memorabilia, and I started decorating the office for the holiday season, specifically Halloween. And I got such a great response from the kids that was my motivating factor to every year buy more and buy more.
Eventually, his collection of terrors became so big, he hired Jim Thompson to create a haunted house around them all. It's a scary place. But there's no place so scary that no one could make it all the way through. The legend is false. Still,
being scared, I think, is a great, it's being that unknown step that, you don't know what is around the corner. It's that thrill. It's that little raising of the hairs behind your neck. It's the blood rushing. It's the pulsing of your heart. It's all those little nuances to give you that scream, that burst of energy. That adrenaline rush is exciting, and I think people love it.
In this story, the threat comes from robot monsters. But in our next story, the threat comes from a little old lady.
Get out of the car!
True or false? In 1927, Charles Lindbergh became the first man to fly nonstop across the Atlantic Ocean. The answer, when we return.